Hello and welcome back to part 2. Jared has given me literally 1 second break, so I need to just get a water break if that's okay. I think we've got a lot going on at the moment, and I think Jared and I are keen to get going. But we're enjoying it. I mean, one of the subscribers was asking, don't feel obligated to do a daily vlog, but we're actually literally are enjoying this, aren't we, Jared? It's a highlight of our day to do a vlog like this. So there's no worries there. If we do get busy, we will make an adjustment to the daily routine, but at the moment we're just going to keep it going. But a big welcome to anyone that missed part 1 of the video that we're doing. This is part 2. Go back and watch part 1 first if you want to. We'll carry on with this part 2. So we're talking about feedback of questions and ideas from our viewers on the videos we're putting out, and we put out a video yesterday that Jared showed how to set up a box, and there was quite a few questions and interest coming back. And Chris B, who's a brand new guy on the scene, he used to breed, or he may still breed, I think he breeds cats, and I think he wants to get into breeding snakes, and he's set himself up, and he's got a lot of questions, and I really appreciate your interest in what we're doing here, Chris. And he's very thorough, and I love that because he's asking a lot of questions. And one of the questions he asked was, he was saying that when you're setting up your vermiculite,
yeah,
some people recommend that you do a 1-to-1 ratio and weight it. Jared actually does it by ear, or pours it and plays it by ear, don't you, Jared?
it's because I've done a different method.
Yeah. Now, when you squeezed that vermiculite yesterday, I noticed that water was dripping out of that,
Yeah.
like a sponge. And if you have a look at some other videos, they recommend not to have it that heavy.
That's if you don't have egg crate.
That's if you don't have egg crate.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also want to refer us to Rob at Raw Balls, and I watched last night. I decided to watch one of Rob's videos, and he put out a really good video. He lives in Malaysia. Now, in Malaysia, the humidity is so high that you've got to be really careful with what you're doing and how you set up. So my advice now on setting up an egg box is there's no one correct way. You have to, it's like anything, you have to use the skills that we're teaching or what we're learning from each other and apply it to the environment you're in. And that goes for every aspect of snake keeping. So if Jared and I are having success here in the New Forest where there's a decent amount of humidity, not as much as Malaysia, but we've got 35 to 45 in here at the moment. And by the way, if anyone hasn't fed and they want to put their snakes together, down here in the UK, the rain and all that stormy weather last night, I think the low pressure is an excellent opportunity to lock, if you're thinking about it, because sometimes you want to pick the right moment, not only which is good for the snakes, but when the climate is right, seize the day. Brian Barczyk did a video last week about it, and he said he had so much success. He had 20 locks in a morning, and he said the reason was because he picked the time to put his males to his girls. He picked the low pressure. It was stormy the night before, it was chucking it with rain, and that is, for him, he reckons that's a winning formula, and I trust his judgment on that because he's top guy in the industry, one of the top guys. So there's another little tip if you're not aware of it already. But just coming back to this humidity levels around the world. So let's take Rob's video. Now Rob did a lovely setup, very professional. He used vermiculite as well. He used the equivalent of what you use, Jared, the egg grates, but he was using these orange mats that are malleable, which I think is a great idea. So you can bend them, which means that the eggs sit in a cradle rather than using golf clubs. Sorry, if you're using golf clubs, you'll be putting Colossus's eggs in the box, I think. I think hopefully one or two of my viewers get my sense of humour, but it's very warped, my sense of humour, but it's there. So can you just imagine setting up a huge box? And I also watched back my videos, and I mentioned that Colossus was 2,500 kilograms. That's just me again, it's my dyslexia. I say things that I don't mean, but I think you get my drift. And this 2,500 kilogram Colossus would need golf clubs to support her eggs if she was that big. But she's not 2,500 kilograms, she's 4.5 kilograms. So she's getting big.
4,500 grams.
4,500 grams, sorry.
4.5 kilograms.
4.5 kilograms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily done.
You know what I mean. And also, I noticed part of my dyslexia. If I say to you that I've got humidity tests, and I'm saying to you that degrees and percentages. I refer to degrees and I mean percentages. That's another symptom of being dyslexic, is that you say things that you want to communicate but you get the wrong terminology. So I'm not as bad. I mean, it's in my family. I mean, a lot of my brothers and sisters have it, but I'm not as bad as some of my family, believe it or not. Anyway, let's get back to the snakes. You don't really know too much about me, but it does help to understand if I make mistakes. They're not intentional mistakes. They're kind of just me. I'm a bit quirky. So, I forgot my train of thought now. What were we saying, Jared? We're talking about Rob's setup.
Yeah.
So he's got these malleable plastic mats that are gridded. And instead of using pegs or tees, he doesn't need to use them because they cradle. He molds them so the eggs cradle inside. And I think that's another great idea. So thank you for that, Rob. So he doesn't. Now, when he did his vermiculite, you could squeeze his vermiculite and no water would come out at all. And he was using the equivalent of an egg crate. So what I'm saying is, why do you think he didn't put as much water in his jar?
Because it works for him and he's got high humidity where he's at.
Exactly, that's exactly the point, is that for him in his country, that works. So don't follow us if you're living in a low humidity or high humidity area. If you're in the middle, then probably follow us on that. If you're living in Colorado, Chris Hardwick, who I watch a lot, and I appreciate all his videos, he does a daily blog, whatever you want to call it, and he's got a massive problem because he's got no humidity at all. So he has to use stagnant moss, and he has to use, I think he has something going on in his facility that creates the atmosphere, the water in the atmosphere already. He's got something going on there. So for him, he needs to have a hell of a lot of water in his boxes for it to work. And of course, I reckon he probably goes to his boxes and probably tops up regularly as well, because it can dry out in there. The last thing you want is dried out eggs. Dried out egg means a dead egg. A non-breathable egg means a dead egg. If they don't breathe and aerate, even though you've got to keep water in there, they still need some air to breathe. An egg is a living beast, isn't it, Jared? It's a living organic animal in there, and it needs to be respected as a hatchling, as much as a hatchling, if not more. So it's important to have air circulation. Now, people can put fans in. We put fans in ours, but others choose in the incubator. And why do we do that, Jared?
To circulate the air, otherwise you get one hot spot. It just removes hot spots.
Yeah, and also the temperatures can vary from the bottom to the top. So if you ever wonder why some of your eggs hatch earlier than others, it's because the ones at the top are hotter and they'll come earlier. And if the ones at the top kink, it means your temps are out, if it's a kinking issue for temperature rather than genetics. So keep an eye on your temps on the big incubators, definitely. On the smaller ones it tends to be not so much a problem, but the bigger ones can have big variation. So you've got to keep an eye on that. If you have snakes that are prone to kinking, I'd put them on the bottom of your incubator because they need longer to prepare, so they don't get a temperature spike, and then a high temperature spike can create kinking in incubators. So we need to be careful of that. But yeah, so there's an awful lot out there. Now, we've got Chris is asking some other interesting questions. He said, can we use chicken feed pellets and paper underneath our cocoa husk to help deal with urine spills and water spills?
I'm sure paper's fine. No idea about chicken feed. I probably wouldn't. I'd avoid that. But
well, chicken feed will encourage mold. If you think about food that goes off even in your fridge, you know, a lot of vegetables go off in your fridge, but if you think about food being left for too long, it does mold, and when you hit water on that as well, it molds. So I wouldn't go the chicken feed pellet route, even though I know he uses it I think he uses it when he was breeding his cats, and he was wondering whether there's any synergy in using that idea on snakes. I would say I've never heard of anyone using that, but I wouldn't go there. And he also asked the question, I suppose with paper, if you use paper combining with cocoa husk, do a combination approach, I think that would work short term for maybe a few days, but it won't work long term. Cocoa husk is designed to last longer than paper. So if you start putting a paper at the bottom of your cocoa husk, it might drain up all the urine quickly, but you've got to then get to the bottom of your cocoa husk, remove that paper, and replace it. Messy. It's going to be complicated. They're not on the same wavelength, are they? So although that's a good idea in one sense, I think it would be practically difficult to do, but I'll be interested in knowing anyone else's ideas on that. The other thing that Chris has spent time, I think, in New Zealand, where they have what they call facility heat pumps, and he was just troubleshooting. You know, we were discussing about this issue over here, Jared. He was coming up with the idea, and he was saying, why not get a heat inverter air conditioner so that you can circulate the room and heat the room at the same time? Which I think is a very interesting idea. I never thought of that. So it's called a facility heat pump. Apparently they're quite cheap. I'm going to go and do the research, Chris, and find out, see how effective they are, how cost effective they are, and what are the pros and cons. But I suppose what we've got there is we've got an air filtration unit, standalone, and we've got a heater standalone. And I think what Chris is saying is combine the two together and have what I call a heat pump that will actually generate hot air and circulate it for you. I think, correct me Chris if I'm wrong, but that's what I'm guessing. The advantage of having two separate units is that if one goes down, you can obviously repair it or replace it. If one combined unit goes down, you not only lose heat, you lose the air circulation, you're at risk of losing two elements of your facility.
Also in the summer when it gets hot, you don't want the heater on, but you want your air purifier on. So
yeah, but I think what Chris will probably say, and I'm guessing this, I'll be surprised, some of these pumps might actually have heat and cold controls on them, so you can choose to be hot, choose to be cold. I'll be surprised if they don't. So again, it's like I guess it's like an air conditioning unit really, but that's an idea. I'd be interested to know who else out there is doing any of this. So I think then we've got, we've pretty much covered that. So the only other things I wanted to go back to now is, yeah, I've just found out it was Kirk. Kirk was the one that suggested using a heat deflector. I know I had you down. Thank you, Kirk, for that suggestion. Now, you might have realised or known from my threads on our videos that I'm suggesting to the community that we create a live video link on YouTube where we have what I call a snake take Saturday Live. Snake take. Now, the idea of snake take is that I want to know your take on keeping snakes. A snake take. So, and also take a picture, take a video. So we video our discussion. So what we do is we invite a guest or two guests, and we put lots of questions to these guests. Now on that panel there might be a mixture of experienced, intermediate and beginner, or it might be we just go for an experienced or whatever, or if I can get hold of a world-class person that's willing to come in and help us, that would be fantastic if we could have a question session with someone that's really at the top of the game. But that's ambitious, and I don't think I'm big enough at the moment or recognised out there to be able to achieve that. But then knowing the hearts of people in this community, I might be surprised. You know, I might get a Chris Hardwick drop me a message and say, yeah, I'd love to do it with you, Paul. Or I might get Justin Kabelka say, I'd like to help you out, Paul. You know, let me come on your show. I mean, can you imagine if we got some really top guys out there coming in and helping us? You never know, I might get someone like Richard at Predator BP. You know, it'd be fantastic to have Rich on, or even Rob, or even any of the four horsemen. I'd love to have you guys on the show. Now, Adam is our technical guy here, my son Adam. He's doing an IT degree. And if you've noticed an improvement in our technology, it's because Adam's been working behind the scenes trying to get things running smoothly. That's why you're getting some very interesting genetic films from me at the moment, with some nice, smooth talking videos in the background. And I'm told that I've got a very silky voice. It's not very silky at the moment. I'll just excuse me while I take a drink. So the idea is that we get our technology so fine-tuned that when we do a live stream, there's none of this. What I don't want is to present a Zoom live screen meeting where there's a time lag, too much of a time lag, and it just doesn't go well. Now, we've got super fast Wi-Fi here in the New Forest, which we're so blessed. We've got 1.6 gigabytes of download speed, and we've got over 150 to 200 upload. So when I upload these films, it takes less than 2 minutes to upload 30 minutes. And that's another reason why you're getting a lot of footage, is because it doesn't take me that long to upload. And another reason why we're doing two 30-minute parts is because it takes me an hour and a half to 2 hours to edit this video. So you're getting uncut footage here. Now, I could do a nice glossy edit, but that will take 2 hours of my day out to do that every day. which if I wasn't busy, I'd be willing to do that. But I'm in my busy period at the moment. And what I'm going to suggest we do is, if you're happy, that we do an uncut version and then we do more polished versions later. But let me know your thoughts. You might prefer uncut, much more natural. You get warts and all my mistakes. People like that. I like Billy's channel because it's uncut. You get what you see. And I really like that. And I think there's another guy I like. He does uncut once a week. And he's got a massive following he's from, is it Brian Cusco? Brian Cusco. He sings like me, but he sings a lot better, and he plays the piano and he does a guitar, and he shares his whole family life with the community, and he really helps with mental health as well, because there is a lot of mental health issues out there, and I think these channels are great for helping us out of a hole, helping us out of difficult times. It gives us a little bit of something nice to look forward to and something positive. So I like his channel, and he's got an interesting background. He's very open with it, and I love the fact that he's on a journey of discovering himself and his family. I'd love to do a chat and discussion, debate with him. That would be wonderful. So if anyone's got any connections with him, let me know. I'd love to do that. Maybe I should be bold enough to send him a message. But can you imagine if we get all these different celebrities, what I call celebrities, on the channel? It would be so cool. And then have everyone access to them and put all their questions to them and be able to build a relationship with them. I think that'd be fantastic. So these are my ideas. I think it's going to take us 4 weeks to go live on a decent stream. So as an intermediate approach to the channel, what I was thinking we could do is every Saturday at 7, I will upload a premiere pre-recorded discussion with either with you guys, the viewers, maybe pick 1 or 2 of you to come and join us, so you can introduce yourselves and give some background to what you're doing and your experiences. Give us your take on some of the topics of the week that we've discussed. Let us know what issues you're facing. Maybe shed some light, draw on that experience. I want you guys to have like a coffee or tea or a nice drink and some popcorn while we do this, and relax, enjoy it. Pretend that we're a meeting together, table to table, man to man, man to woman, woman to woman, woman to man, whatever, child, son to daughter, whatever it is, family to family. And we actually have what I call a virtual reality meeting through Zoom. And we have a good laugh, we have a good chat, we have a good chinwag, and we just have a good time. It's going to last no more than an hour, because one of the things I've noticed is that some of these live chats go on for 4 hours. I think it's too much, personally, for me. I mean, I like a half an hour to an hour is about right. But we just have a very natural conversation and discuss the issues of the day and help each other. So let me know your thoughts. We do a hybrid over the next 4 weeks of once a week on Saturday, and then we'll aim for February to launch a live streaming, if we can get the technology. I've got to order another computer, another hardware, high-end stuff. Now there's a shortage of computer bits at the moment because of lockdown and COVID. It takes about 6 weeks to get all your parts, and Adam can build computers, so I might be able to get parts and get him to build us a computer that will give us the power to do live streaming, and because it costs us a couple of grand to do it. So it's not a cheap thing to do, but it's worth it. And some of the top bloggers out there, they spend a lot of money doing high-end live streaming. Now we've invested in a good camera, so it makes sense to broadcast that in a beautiful way. And so let me know your thoughts. And the only other thing I'm going to say is tomorrow. What are we going to do tomorrow, Jack? I've got some ideas, but have you got any thoughts what you'd like to discuss tomorrow?
Nope.
Okay.
I'll just hold the camera.
Okay, Joe. Well, JV Royals has come up with a really good suggestion, which I'm really excited about doing. And I can tell he's a very knowledgeable breeder, him and his partner. And he's suggesting that we come up with full breeding plans from A to Z. A breeding plan, where it starts off obviously with the choice of animals and sourcing those pairs, how to pair, what to pair, planning. Then it goes to when it's the right time to start introducing the animals, and then you've got to work out your rotations, and then you've got to work out all your adjustment to your facility to make it happen, all the different breeding techniques, and then you've got to learn how to separate, learn when to bring in. Then you've got to monitor the females as well as the males for their health and well-being, and then you've got to look at things like what's going on in the rubs, what's the behaviour aspects of what's going on, and how do you read that, how do you interpret it, what does it all mean, what are we expecting, what are we aiming for, how can we avoid troubleshooting, what's going on with the girls, Are they starting to bowl wrap, and why are they starting to bowl wrap? What should we be looking at when it comes to follicle development? Follicles meaning the early stages of the egg development, and they start really small. How to use techniques of checking follicle development, how to adjust things so that the girls can cool off correctly, how to get the boys back on food. We just touch base, all these things, but we go through a plan with a nice diagram. Now, I'm going to ask Rob if we can borrow his, because I've watched his video that he put out on his channel, Royal Bulls, and he's got a beautiful breeding plan. And on his breeding series, he lays out the full breeding plan from A to Z. So he's Rob's done this, but maybe this is my take on this at New Forest Morphs with Jared. We'll do our take on a video that Rob's put out, which I think is very good. And then once we've done the overall plan, we'll go in all of those areas. And what we're going to try and do is, because we're doing this daily, you're going to get live day-to-day activity of our journey, which is quite unique. There's not a lot of people doing that, other than a couple of people I know. Brian is doing his in America, but he's got a full reptile house. You know, Brian, you like him, Jared. Brian, my name. See, this is another thing of dyslexia. You forget things.
There's Barchek or Chris.
Brian Barchek. Okay, he's nearly got 3 million.
Andy.
Sorry.
I was just saying the ones that were Brian's.